topic of my presentation is the environmental dangers of chemical pesticides, critical thinking, and business opportunities. The basic outline of my presentation is pesticides, what are pesticides, dangers of pesticides, critical thinking, why we are talking about this topic or why we need to think about this topic, organic farming, organic and biopesticides, and business opportunities. What can be the probable business opportunities when we opt for organic farming or use of biopesticides? So why I have chosen this topic or why we have chosen this topic for discussion, because you might have came across the news related to pesticides, such as the severe impact of pesticides on the farmers or on the human health, as well as the pesticide not only affects the human health, but it also affects the bird population to a greater extent. Now, after this, slowly people are realizing the impact of pesticides on the human health as well as the ecosystem. So they are shifting more towards using the organic products or using organic farming or use of biopesticides. So what is pesticides? Now, pesticides are nothing but they are the chemical substances that are meant to kill the pest. In general, a pesticide is a chemical. It can be a biological agent such as virus, bacterium, antimicrobial, disinfectant that deters, incapacitates, kills pests. Now, the most common use of the pesticide is for the plant protection product, which is also known as a crop protection product, which in general protects the plants from damaging influences such as weed, plant diseases, or insects. So pesticide basically is used to kill the pest. It can be chemical pesticide or it can be biopesticides. Mostly now, chemical pesticides have been used since historic time. So term pesticides. Now this term pesticide is not a single term, but it combines different terms according to its uses. Herbicides, insecticides, insect growth regulators, nematicides, rodicides, bactericides, and fungicides. Now the uses of this differs according to its role. Herbicide is used to kill the herbs, which the extra plants which grow in on the farm. It is used to kill that. Insecticides basically focus on killing the insects. Insect growth regulator are nothing but they are the chemicals which help in stopping the growth of the insect. Thus, it stops the reproduction of that particular insect, and it can reduce the population of that particular insect. Now, rodicides are basically they are used to kill the rodents. Fungicides, as the name suggests, it is used to kill the fungus because there are different fungal diseases by which the plants can get affected to a greater extent. The pesticide cycle. Now, like other cycles which are present, there is also pesticide cycle. Now, using this image, it can be very clear that when the pesticide is sprayed on the farm, it get absorbed by the plant. When it is absorbed by the plant, when it is absorbed by the leaves of the plant, it is slowly translocated through the roots. Now, when it is translocated through the roots, it can get absorbed into the soil or it can get absorbed, leached into the soil. With the help of the soil, when this mixes with the water, it slowly travels to the groundwater or to the water bodies which are residing nearby. Now, when it enters into the water ecosystem or the organisms which are dependent in that particular ecosystem can get affected to a greater extent. Also, while spraying the pesticides also mix in the air using the spray dip process or volatilization, where the vapors get mixed into the air and the atmosphere. And slowly, when the rain comes, this settle down on the soil or on the land, or it can mix in the water. So this can again cause harm to the environment. So this way the pesticide cycle plays the role in environment. So chemical pesticides which have been used in India. Now there are certain pesticides which are organophosphates, organochlorines, which are banned internationally, but in India they are still used. Now these are few list of the pesticides which have been used in India, such as borate, carbofuran, dimethoate, quinalphos. Now lot of these pesticides have been banned, but they are still used. Now, according to their use, they can be used for different crops, such as borate can be used for corn, cotton, coffee, and others like carbofuran can be used for the crops such as potatoes, corn, and soybean. Now, according to their hazard or according to the severity which they cause into the human beings, they are classified by the World Health Organization uh, up- as extremely hazardous, highly hazardous, or moderately hazardous. Now, this is dependent on its impact on the human health or on the ecosystem. Now, extremely hazardous pesticide like Foret can have a very severe impact when consumed. So, moderately hazardous pesticides won't have much impact or might not have much impact as compared to the other pesticides. Malathion is classified as slightly hazardous, which is used for citrus, strawberries, or spinach, right? So this will have not much impact as compared to Foret or as compared to carbofuran. The chemical pesticides which have been banned in India. Now, this type of pesticides have been banned in India, such as Alachlor, Aldrin, Carbamyl, Endrine, Heptachlor, Foret. Even Foret has been banned in India, but still there are few farmers in Maharashtra as well as in India. They are using such type of pesticides. Now they have banned because they are somewhere hazardous to the environment as well as the human health. Now, when the pesticides have so much impact on the environment, there should be some law or there should be some regulation which is looking after the use of pesticides. So, the Central Insecticide Board and Registration Committee is formed under the Insecticide Act 1968, in which the Central Insecticide Board deals with the import and export related to the pesticides as well as for studying the severity related to pesticide. Like suppose there is a pesticide for it. Now, what can be the severity of that particular pesticide, whether it can be used or it has to be banned, right? So the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, now this basically deals with the pesticide use, or like if the pesticides have been used on the food, then they deal with setting the maximum residue limit. Maximum residue limit is a particular limit which has been set for a particular pesticide. Like Foret has to be present in this much quantity and which cannot extend to beyond that maximum residue limit, or else it can be harmful to the human health, right? So the Insecticide Act 1968 has been transformed into Pesticide Management Bill 2020. Now this is nothing but this is same as the Insecticide Act 1968 Pesticide Management Bill, which deals again with the import and export and studying the impact of the pesticides on the human health as well as the environment. Now, pesticide monitoring. Now, as we are talking about the pesticides, we should also know about pesticide monitoring. What does pesticide monitoring cover? Now, basic thing is the sampling. Now, pesticide monitoring or sampling can happen for different aspects related to environment, such as water, food, soil, or we can also collect the samples from humans, right? But basically, if I talk about the pesticide sampling from the water, then there is a particular method which has been used where the samples are collected from different groundwater lakes where we feel that the residues of the pesticides can be detected. Sampling locations has been fixed. So the graph sampling method is basically used for the sampling of pesticides from water. Then extraction. Obviously, the pesticides need to be extracted before the analysis. So they are extracted in a solvent and then they are concentrated because they then the analysis takes place using different methods such as ZCMS or LCMS, which is gas chromatography mass spectroscopy. Now, this instruments, with the help of the calibration standards of pesticides, the amount of pesticides can be detected in a particular sample from a particular location. So also we should be well versed about, there is one scheme which has been initiated by the Department of Agriculture, Corporation and Farmers Welfare, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, where the monitoring pesticide residue at national level has taken place, and where they collect or they monitor the pesticide residue in the food commodities as well as the environmental samples, which includes soil as well as water. So what is the main aim of this scheme? Why this scheme has been developed? First one is to test the pesticide residue and contaminants in food commodity and environmental samples like soil and water, as I mentioned earlier. Also, to identify the crops and regions which are preponderance of pesticide residue in order to focus extension efforts for integrated pest management and good agriculture practices. Now, these two terms, in integrated pest management and good agriculture practices, are very essential because it deals with the use of the organic products or use of the biofertilizers or which type of pesticides can be used for a particular crop. Third one is to strengthen the infrastructure at quarantine stations to prevent entry of food and food commodities which have pesticide residue above maximum residue limit, which was mentioned earlier. Fourth one is testing calibration of pesticide residue in export and import consignment. So these are the basic objectives of the scheme. So this is from my observation as I'm dealing with the analysis of pesticides today. So this is the observation on the field. To this greater extent, the farmers are using this pesticides. Now, Profex is nothing but an insecticide which is used to kill the bollworms. It is basically focused on using for the cotton crops. Clacodol, which is a glyphosate. Now, glyphosate is having a very severe impact on the human health as well as environment. It has been banned internationally. It is known to cause cancer, but still it has been used in India and specifically in some regions of Maharashtra. Now, there's a few images of the field where you can see the cotton field and the wheat field. Now, what I want to explain you is most of the times the farmers have the groundwater very nearby their farms, right? So whenever they are spraying this pesticides, they can combine in the air, or also it can slowly combine with the soil and water, and it can enter into the groundwater. The groundwater is very nearby to their home, as well as they are dependent on the groundwater. So this can ultimately affect their health, because they are dependent on this groundwater. They are consuming this groundwater for daily activities. So this is how the use of pesticide is very severe for the farmers. Now, pesticide movement. Now, how pesticides get transferred? Pesticides in air can get transferred using two processes, which is spray drift process or volatilization. Like I mentioned earlier, spray drift is nothing but when a farmer is spraying the pesticides on the crop, it can spread into the atmosphere, or it can mix into the atmosphere air. Volatilization is nothing but when the pesticides are sprayed, it can enter into the atmosphere with the help of the vapor. So this is another way where the pesticide can enter into the air. Pesticide movement into the water. Now, pesticide can move into the water using point sources as well as non-point sources. The point sources include spills and lakes, as well as the wash sites. Non-point sources include the contaminated water. Now, the pesticide movement in soil. Now, how pesticides can enter into the soil? The pesticides can enter into the soil. It can enter into the groundwater using a process called as leaching. The pesticides, so this also depends on a particular pesticide or the property of pesticide, whether it is highly soluble, it has low absorption, or it can stay into the environment for longer time, like which can persist into the environment for longer time. So it will obviously depend on the characteristics of pesticides as well as the soil properties of pesticides. So pesticides and food. As I had mentioned earlier about the scheme, also this pesticides can also enter into the food. Now this is an example. This is an example where a study was done and the pesticides were found into the fruits, orange, quinalphos, which is again the organophosphates, which are banned but still used in India, and its residue was found 0.10, which was beyond the set maximum residue limit, right? Also in vegetables, there are certain examples such as brinjal, cauliflower, where cyperthrin beta chloropyrifos were found to exceed beyond the permissible limit or beyond the maximum residue limit. So also these pesticides are coming into our food. So they are somewhere impacting the human health. Now, what is the probable impact of these pesticides on the human health? It basically, as I mentioned earlier, it will basically impact the farm sprayers or farm workers because they come in direct contact with them. Now, the common health effects which are observed in the farmers are the cancer, depression, neurological defects, diabetes, respiratory diseases. So these are certain images which are there as to how the pesticide can affect the farmer. So another things which are there are nausea, chest pain, blood vision. Also, there was one study in which they have found the highly hazardous pesticides harming the children in India. So these are the different pesticides which have been used and categorized according to its type, such as insecticide, fungicide, herbicide. So glyphosate, as I had mentioned earlier, was also used, and it is still harming the population as well as the children's to a greater extent. Even DDT has a very severe impact on the humans as well as the children's. So pesticide poisoning in wildlife. Now, if we are talking about the pesticide entry into the air, water, soil, and humans, we should also think about the wildlife, because somewhere we are also dependent on the ecosystem, or we are also dependent on the environment. So somewhere this bird species, this white-tailed eagle, or different bird species as well as the fish species, or the ecosystem is also getting disturbed due to the use of pesticides. Now, white-tailed eagle had the secondary poisoning of carbofuran pesticide, which was very severe and which led to the kill of, or which led in the reduction of the white-tailed eagles. The another one is the bobo mullet species of fish, which was also affected, to a greater extent, because the farmers there or the fishermen there were using the pesticides for killing or for catching the fishes, and then they were consuming that. So this was affecting the fish population also, the ecosystem also, the water ecosystem also, as well as well it was affecting the humans which are dependent on that particular fish. So this way also it is affecting the wildlife. Now, pesticide poisoning can be categorized in different aspects, such as acute poisoning can be there, chronic poisoning can be there, secondary poisoning can be there, and indirect effects also. Now, acute poisoning won't have so much impact as compared to the chronic poisoning. Acute poisoning can be analyzed using the tissues in the animals, and it has a very short impact, as I mentioned earlier, and its impact can localize up to a particular geographical location, and it can be linked to a single pesticide use. While chronic pesticide can lead to the use can be due to the use of organochlorine insecticides, like I mentioned, DDT. Now this can impact the reproduction of certain birds of prey. This can impact it to a greater extent, and the effect may possess to, like they can be the effect may possess to a greater extent as compared to this. So certain examples are use of such organochlorine pesticides in foreign countries, which poses a risk to the migratory birds. It can affect the population of the migratory birds and reduce their migratory patterns also. Secondary poisoning. Now, secondary poisoning is nothing but if a particular species in an ecosystem is dependent on a other species. Now, if that species consumes if that species consumes a species which have been primarily poisoned by the pesticide, then it can cause the secondary poisoning in the birds of prey, where it can reduce its population and also it can accumulate in to a greater extent in that particular species. So this can be the secondary poisoning, in which I had given an example of white-tailed eagle. Indirect effects. Now, indirect effects are nothing but indirect. Suppose you suppose a farmer is spraying the pesticide in a particular farm, then the nearby environment, the nearby bird species, the nearby crops, or the nearby plant species are getting affected by the use of that particular pesticide, because it can it can reduce the population of the insects, but also it can reduce the population of certain bird species which are dependent on that particular insect, or which are dependent on that particular ecosystem. Another example can be, there are certain microorganisms which are beneficial to the soil. So when you use the chemical pesticides, it can affect the population of that beneficial microorganisms as well. So this way, there is indirect effect of use of indirect effect of use of chemical pesticides. Now, when I have talked about all the problems, now what can be the solution, or what we can do at an individual level, or what we can do at an country level? Now, the measures or the solutions which are there for this is, first one is the organic farming. Second one is washing of food products. The food products can be washed properly before consuming, so as to reduce the risk due to it. Processing of food products. The food products can be processed properly before entering the market. Fourth one is the rational use of pesticides. you should justify why you have to use that particular pesticide. If it is necessary, then only you can use that particular pesticide. Fifth one is the implementation and amendment of pesticide related laws. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, the laws which are present in India are related to that, or there are different laws. The laws can differ according to the country. So there are different laws related to the use of pesticides in other countries also. So our organic farming. Now, organic farming is a generalized concept where everyone is aware of that. Now, the basic aim of organic farming is to develop a long-term sustainable production of food by working with natural processes, by reducing the negative effects on the environment, and by minimizing the use of non-renewable resources. Now, organic farming is nothing but it is a holistic production system. It its main aim is to improve the soil fertility, to enhance the resource recycling, and to improve the production environment for the farmers and enlarge the freedom of choice for the consumers by obviously supplying the good quality product at reasonable rate. So these are the basic aims of organic farming. What are the probable objectives? As I mentioned earlier, it basically focuses on the use of the biological products or reducing the use of the chemical fertilizers, and then improving the use of biopesticides as well as compost. The organic products basically are used using, like, converted using the organic waste, which is a high nutrient source, to prevent pollution by proper conversion and utilization of organic waste. Also, when you're using organic waste, then it can reduce the pollution problem. The pollution which is associated with the organic waste can be reduced, such as soil pollution, water pollution, and air pollution also, because organic waste has is said to emit lot of pollutants in the air, like like greenhouse gases. And to make farming sustainable and remunerative and respectful. So Government of India has already initiated different schemes for organic farming. Now these are different schemes which have been initiated by Government of India, which specifically focuses on use of biopesticides or use of organic products like compost. So there are these are the schemes which are Param Pragat Krishi Vikas Yojana is there, Mission Organic Value Chain for Northeastern region is there, the National Project on Organic Farming is there, which specifically focuses on the use of biopesticides. Now, biopesticides, as I was talking about the biopesticides, now biopesticides, the definition of the biopesticide which has been given by EPA is it is a pesticide which is derived from the natural material. Now, natural material can be anything. It can be bacterium, it can be nematicides, fungi, or viruses, or it can be plant extract also. So biopesticides can be classified into different types, such as microbial pesticides, which are extracted from the microbes or which are derived from the microbes, incorporated protectants, now which are derived from the plants, such as azadirachtin or rodisons, neem products, biotic agents, or natural enemy predators. Now, there are certain organisms which act as a predator and which can also reduce the population of the insects. The examples are lady beetles or rogue beetles, biochemical pesticides. Now, there are certain pesticides which has an ability to, to secrete pheromones or secrete insect sex pheromones, where the female can secrete such type of pheromones, and it can attract the male insect species, which can also help in reducing the amount of male male insect population. But this can be applied to a small population. Parasitoids. Now there are certain organisms which can act as a parasitoid, or it can reduce the population of the species or the insect species which are there. The various disadvantages of conventional chemical pesticides over biopesticides. Now, why we should look after biopesticides and not for the chemical pesticides. Now, all the things which I had mentioned were the disadvantages of the chemical pesticides, and also we can also think of using this as an business opportunity, using organic farming or using biopesticides as a business opportunity because now there are certain benefits such as the chemical pesticides are synthesized from artificial or chemicals, while biopesticides they are derived from the natural material like living organisms, right? The chemical pesticides they cause environmental pollution and are not eco-friendly, but biopesticides they do not cause environmental harm. Now, chemical pesticides can be harmful to the non-target organism, as I mentioned, the indirect effects where it can harm the non-target organism. But biopesticides, they do not have any effect on the ecosystem or they do not have any effect on the other organism because they are natural and they are eco-friendly. Now, chemical pesticides are cost ineffective. They are highly costly as compared to the biopesticides. The pest now in chemical pesticide, when a chemical pesticide is spread, the pest after some time it develops a resistance towards that particular compound. But in biopesticides, there is no such resistance which is developed by the pest. Also, I mentioned earlier that chemical pesticides can contaminate the water and soil, but biopesticides cannot contaminate the water resources or as well as the soil. Chemical pesticides can lead to the bioaccumulation. It can get bioaccumulated in the environment. It can cause harm to the ecosystem, but biopesticides cannot get bioaccumulated. It do not cause any harm to the environment or to a particular ecosystem on which the organisms are dependent, or it cannot get accumulated into the organisms. Now, biopesticides and business opportunities. Now, looking at the business opportunities which have been created or which are created in India due to the use of biopesticides are, it is estimated that the compound annual growth or what can be the benefit which can be earned using Indian biopesticide market is near about 7.3% in the year 2022-25, right? So this way it can be it can it can be helpful to increase the business opportunities in biopesticides. Also, there is near about 1.9 million hectares which is covering under the organic cultivation under the schemes which I had mentioned earlier, such as Parampragat Krishi Vikas Yojana Mission Organic Value Chain for Northeastern region. These schemes have helped in increasing the area under the organic cultivation, where they are basically focusing on use of organic products and biopesticides. Another one is the National Program of Organic Production, under which the area of 23.02 lakh hectares has been covered. Now, what are the key driving factors of biopesticide market? Now, why we are shifting more towards biopesticide market, or why one should think as an entrepreneur, or one should think that it can create a business? Because now even the people are also getting aware and they are demanding, the consumers are demanding for more sustainable products, or they are demanding for more products which are organic, right? So that's why these are the key driving forces such as the consumers which are demanding for more sustainable methods of farming. Second one is the huge demand for biopesticides. Third one is increased trend in consumption of the organic crops, as I mentioned earlier. Fourth one is the demand for the foliar spray. The farmers are demanding for more foliar spray. So organic products mostly come under the foliar application, so that can be used. Another concern is for the farmers. The farmers who use the chemical pesticides might have some health issues as well as they can have some chemical burns. So when we use the organic products or when we shift towards using biopesticides, then we can have no risk of chemical burns. So those are the key driving factors for the use of biopesticides in the market. Now, these are certain examples, or these are certain startups which are there, which are dealing with the use of biopesticides, or which are selling the biopesticides, or they are selling the organic products. So these are certain examples such as biologic insecticide, Bioferro, weed out, sterile pollen, bee vectoring technologies, agrospheres, and in India, these are the four companies which are there which are dealing with the use of biopesticides, such as BioWork, Nerve Agro is there, Kilpest India Limited is there. Now, all these companies are having a very established business in biopesticide or organic farming. So also, if we think about setting up our own startup for the biopesticides, then it can be beneficial to the society, and also it can act as a business option for us. So thank you so much. Thank you for giving me an opportunity.